and welcome to Local Edition. I'm Leslie Leyton. Well, most of us have them medicine cabinets filled with old prescriptions. Have you given it much thought as to how you're going to throw them away when you finally get around to cleaning out that medicine cabinet? Well, Torres is here. He's the Director of Technical Services with the Orange County Sanitation District. Thank you so much for being here. You know, a lot of us think the best way to throw away old medicines is to dump them down the drain. We've heard that before somewhere, but that's not the case.
That's not the case. The Orange County Sanitation District is a wastewater collection agency with the purpose of protecting public health and the environment. And as part of that, we want to make sure that the public is aware of the proper disposal of medicines, because there is some concern about the potential impact of these medicines or pharmaceuticals on the environment. And typically, residents, the public would flush it down the toilet or put it down the drain. That is not the proper way to dispose of it. We want to look at an alternative, either putting it in the trash and properly disposing of it, or taking it to a local hazardous waste collection facility.
What are the feared effects on humans and the environment if we do continue to flush our old medicine down the drain?
Right now, we're not aware of any public health effects. The concentration of the pharmaceuticals is very, very low. It's just that the technology has developed to measure it where it's always been there. It's 1,000,000 times less than typical doses that you would get if you were prescribed the medication. However, we are seeing some impacts on marine aquatic environments in the ocean, and that's why we're concerned about it continuing there and looking at a way now to redirect it toward a more self-contained, controllable environment, such as a landfill.
Yeah, because if everybody's throwing them down the drains, even if it is 1,000,000th of a percentage of whatever that goes in there, it can really add up possibly over time.
Absolutely.
And are there any feared effects of throwing it in the landfill or other methods?
Well, it's not the preferred method. The state, under state legislation last year, has directed the California Integrated Waste Management Board to look at long-term solutions, likely through either take-back programs with the pharmacies or with the manufacturers themselves. But until that point, we feel it's much more contained and controlled to have it in a landfill, which is lined, and the ability to collect any of the runoff that occurs versus putting it in our waterways, and then it becomes so ubiquitous it's almost unmanageable.
So you're launching a full campaign to get the awareness out about this. Why did you feel it was time to do this now?
Well, we're very proud. The Sanitation District of Orange County has been managing a program called No Drugs Down the Drain for a couple of years. And the state has looked at this program and sees it as a model program. So now we're looking at a statewide campaign, which is October 4th through the 11th, to promote this throughout the state, to raise the awareness of the public that these medications, these unused medications, can cause a problem. Don't put it in the wastewater system, but let's manage it differently. And so the State Water Board, the Federal EPA, and the California Association of Sanitation Agencies are all promoting the statewide education program.
Now, you talked a little bit about how this might affect the environment, but what about affecting us? Because some of this water that is flushed down the drain, if you throw the pharmaceuticals in the sink, for instance, it ends up recycled and we may be drinking it, right?
That's correct.
Right.
Yes.
How pure is the water we get out of the tap generally in this area compared to the bottled water that some people might get because they think it's better?
Bottled water typically goes through a process called reverse osmosis, which is a very, very high level of treatment and would typically remove most of these pharmaceuticals in these compounds. Your typical tap water goes through a high level of treatment, but not that level of treatment. And so there still could be some of these trace amounts of these pharmaceuticals in the water. However, as I mentioned earlier, the levels are so low, about 1,000,000th of what you would receive in terms of a dose, that we don't believe there's any, at least short-term public health effect, but there's not enough information known on it at this time.
You know, we take water for granted so much. We turn the faucet on, the water comes out. How much of our water comes from retreated water?
Well, in Orange County, we just started the groundwater replenishment program, which is the largest recycling program of wastewater in the world. As soon as some capital improvements are made, we're going to be recycling about 100 million gallons per day. That can service about 500,000 residents in Orange County. And so it's about a 20% of the population that could be serviced off of that.
Thank you so much, and thank you for tuning in. More CNN Headline News next.